knitters, welcome to PJ Knits. My name is Penny and I live in Central Illinois, and I am a knitter, a blogger, and a YouTube podcaster. Thanks for stopping in. Today is Sunday in August, and it is a rainy day to start with. This has been the only day that it has rained and been cloudy, and I decided to podcast today. It couldn't stay sunny for one more day, could it? But anyway, this is what we're dealing with. I have a lot to talk to you about today. And today's podcast is really, I'm going to call it the perfect triangle. Because I'm going to talk about, in our Summer of Shawls, triangular shawls and my love for them. Now, I know that there are others who do not like the triangular shawl, but I'm going to tell you why I like it. I like it because, number one, it's an easy shawl to knit. I think it's a great shawl if you are teaching a beginner knitter. It's a good first or second project for them. It teaches increases and yarn overs, and I just like it. I think it's a great project to knit in public with because you don't have to use much brain power with it. You don't have to remember much after you get going. And it has potential for adding color, design to it, all sorts of things. And I'm going to talk about a few of those that I have today to show you. Also, for me, I wear a lot of triangular shawls in the fall and winter. My job is such that I wear a lot of turtlenecks and dress pants to work every day when it gets cooler. And the triangular shawl is a great shawl for me just to toss on over my shoulders, knot it, wear it as a kerchief or a bandana if I want to in the front. It keeps my back warm. I can flip it around and keep my front warm if there's a breeze blowing at me. It keeps the shoulders warm. It takes the place of jewelry if I don't have the perfect jewelry or don't want to mess with jewelry wearing on that day. So for me, the triangular shawl has a lot of possibilities, and that's why I like knitting them, and that's why I like wearing them. Now, today I'm going to show you some of the ones that are still in my drawers that I wear a lot, and everything's falling off. That's just in keeping with the day, so I'll be stretching over a little bit. But I talked about this book earlier on in Summer of Shawls, and I will refer to it several more times in the next, I guess, 6 weeks before fall officially sets in. But I want to talk about Folk Shawls, the book by Cheryl Oberly. And I love this book. I have knit several out of that, and there are many more in here that I want. And this has potential, I think, for jumping off for other shawls and perhaps designs that you might want to add to what Cheryl has already given us in the book. So I want to talk about just a few. And the first one I'm going to talk about is the Simple Garter Stitch Prairie Shawl. This one I have knit 2 or 3 out of. My very first one I knit out of Lion Brand Homespun. I started it before I went on a Mexico vacation, and I finished it up on the airplane. And I used it on the airplane to keep me warm on the way, and I wore it a lot in Mexico, going out at night or sitting on the beach at night, and then on the way home as well. And then after I got a little bit more particular about my yarn, I knit it out of a yarn that a friend of mine bought for me, and it was in a big cake, and so I used all of it. It has, I knit this one before I started documenting on Ravelry, so I don't have a whole lot of notes on it. I believe that it was Peace Fleece, because I think she went up the New England coast, my friend Jan. And when I got the yarn, I knit this all out of the one skein. And this is that prairie shawl. And it is so soft and scrumptious, and another done out of a loopy yarn in this case. So that is the Simple Garter Prairie Shawl. I love wearing that one as well. And I don't know where the Lion Brand Homespun went to. I probably gave it away at some point in time, or it may be downstairs. I'll have to check in a bin of knits that I don't wear as much as I used to. The next one out of the Folk Shawl book that I want to talk about is called the Wool Peddler Shawl. And I have knit this one in several different ways. Excuse me. I have knit this with the lace and without the lace. I actually knit this one out of an aqua Pacific worsted yarn, and this was one of my very first hospice donations because I wanted something pretty. And I have knit it, there was a ruffled version that Kay Gardner, I believe Kay Gardner did, and no longer could I find the variation out on the web, but it was a ruffled where she had substituted the lace at the bottom for a ruffle. And I knit that one out of County yarn, and then it was a donation to our Girls Holiday Bash raffle that we had. And then I knit it for me out of a yarn called Lana Grossa Chiara. I bought this yarn at Yarniverse down in Memphis about 10, 12 years ago when my kids were down there. Very, very simple shawl. And I wear it a lot in the wintertime. And it's not, like I said before, it's one that you can just throw over your shoulders and go, which I love. And this one's nice and soft. It reminds me a lot of the folio yarn. And I love the description on wool peddlers here. On market days in 18th and 19th century Europe, itinerant peddlers roamed the marketplaces with baskets of their wares. Women who sold stockings, mittens, and handspun yarns often wore bright red shawls to be recognized in the crowds. This one has so much potential for knitting. And again, this would be a perfect beginner's shawl for somebody who's never knit before or is just newly knitting. Then my next one that I just kind of love to wear, I love knitting on it. This yarn is Barocco Folio, and it started out to be a different kind of shawl, and that's where I got my ideas for the colors in this. And then decided to not do the shawl that was featured out of the yarn. And so this one is called Water's Edge, and this is from Cabin 4. It's a Cabin 4 pattern that you can buy. Very similar, I would say, to the Wool Peddlers, only a little bit different. And then this one is a little bit larger, and again, I've done it out of 2 tones, and my favorite colors. And this one gets a lot of wear in the wintertime. I have turtlenecks in this color, I have black, I have charcoal, I have cream that you can just throw this over. So this one is Water's Edge. Love wearing it as well. Out of Folio, which is it's almost lends towards a fingering weight yarn, but super warm and comfy and just squishy. And this one I did also for hospice out of a dark purple, a light purple, and a cream. I did it out of 3 different colors and made it a little bit larger. So another shawl that would be easy, and it's knit on this particular one, the Prairie Shawl and the Wool Peddlers are Garter. You could do Garter, you could do stockinette with them too. This one is stockinette. So again, if somebody's newly learning how to knit, then it would be a great one for that, because they are also knitting and purling on this one. So another good beginner's shawl. And then next one is, this one's called Simple Luxury Shawl. It's a Anna and Heidi Pickles. It's a pay-for pattern. And I first became aware of this off of Espace Tricot when I was off with my foot in 2016, 2017, when they first started doing their podcasts. And this was a shawl that they had shown, and they had shown, I do believe they showed showed on the podcast both of these yarns, and so I was laid up and I ordered the yarn. This is out of Filatura Golden Line Superior in olive and a strand of Mad Tosh Light in plaid blanket. Very outlanderish colors, if you know what I mean, Brenda. I did it on a size 11 needle, and I wear this with orange. I wear this with a light pea soupy color, and this one is just luscious as well. The Golden Line Superior is, I think, is like a cashmere, like, or a mohair, but not as mohairy. I can't remember the content in it, but I will talk about it in the show notes in the Ravelry group and give you links to all that as well. But here this one is. And this one, again, a simple triangular shawl with no holes, which you can do so much with it. And I just knit on this until I was almost out of the Golden Line. Super scrumptious. Highly recommend this, but again, it's a simple triangular shawl in garter, easily knit by a beginner. And can I just say again, perfect for if you're knitting in public and you want to do some shawls for Christmas presents, or gifts, or raffles, or giveaways for your people that you work with. I think these are super nice shawls to knit. Not a whole lot of work to them. No, they're not going to totally show off your lace or anything else, but can I just say, I love the triangular shawl. And then, I guess, last but not least, also a shawl that I was knitting when I was laid up. A little bit more, no lace to it, but again, a little bit more thought went into this one. This is called First Point of Libra. It is by Laura Ayler. And the yarns that I used were Sun Valley Fibers, their MCN Gradient Set, and an MCS Fingerweight and Onyx. And the Onyx has a little bit of gray in it. When I went back a couple years later to buy Onyx, it was truly a black. So this one I knit while I was off with foot surgery. And I think in this one, now there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 gradients in here, and I believe there was 6 or 7 in the pack. And I'll just let you look at that. Large chunks of the gradient on one side, and then smaller chunks of the gradient on the other side. And what I did with this one, because they were so close in colors on these, I had knit 1 or 2 of these, and then I threw another one in. And I thought to the naked eye, it seemed like it was too close. So what I did is I took the camera setting on my iPhone, and I took pictures of it while it was knit up, and then I went to the black and white function on it and saw it just in black and whites, and I could see that the one that was in between these was just way too close. There was not enough contrast, and it just was blending. And so I ripped it back out and put the next one in, and I was so much happier with the way that one turned out. So I highly recommend using that grayscale, I think they call it, on your phone after you've taken a picture of it to see if those colors really are what you want next to it. Another triangular shawl, and this one had some unique construction to it, and I have to admit it was the perfect project for being off on sick leave. This is First Point of Libra, and I really like it. And I've had some friends who've done it with reds, and I just think it has great potential as well if you want to use it. A little color, a little bit larger shawl that will lay over the shoulders quite well. If people have any issues with that, it just sits there just fine. You can pull it around and put a shawl pin on it. Probably could try a shawl collar on it as well. And I just love it. I like this one. And has potential for being worn with all kinds of different colors. So that is what is in my bins that I wear a lot. of triangular shawls that I like, that I wanted to call your attention to. And so, because I love knitting these so much, and because you all know that I have whips, I have some that I'm going to show you that are on the needles. First one I want to talk about is, this one's called the Confidence Shawl. It's by Denise Bell. It is a free pattern. And this one, she, in her description, talks about beginner knitters, that this is the perfect one for knitting, and you learn a lot of different techniques on it. So I will put the link in the show notes in the group and out on PJ Knits, www.pjknits.blogspot.com. I will put the show notes there and link this to it. But this one I don't have the picture to show you, but this one I am doing out of Zany Crafts sock blank that I bought at ZK a couple of years ago. And this one's going to be one that's going to be for the Girls Holiday Bash when I get done. That's super cool. And I am knitting it. This one, again, check out the description, Denise's description on it. And this one is perfect for a beginner. We'll give you lots of techniques for them to learn. And this one has a little bit of sparkle to it. This one is called the Confidence Shawl, and I'm going to knit it until I run out of yarn on my sock blank. Has some ridges in it. So that is one triangular shawl that's on the needles. The next one, this one stays in my car, and this is the Wool Peddler shawl. This one is being done out of Briar Rose Fiber Arts, Chris Ruzian's Sea Pearl. And this one I'm going to knit, and I might put some, when I get done, I'm going to put the lace on it because I have a lot of yardage. The Sea Pearl comes in a lot of yardage. I want to say 500 yards per skein, and I think I have a couple of skeins of it. And it's on the order of a fingering weight, and so I'm going to put, I think, the feather and fan or the lace that Shawl has in the pattern. And this is Wool Peddlers. This one just stays in the back seat of the car, so I always have knitting, and there it is. So that's why it's a little bit wrinkled, but I think that's going to be super cool. And if it may go to hospice, it may stay with me, don't know yet, but has potential. Triangular shawl in progress, always in the ready, because I like to have, and knitters are like this, I like to have projects ready to go just in case. And this one would take me a long way if for some reason I was going to be somewhere for a long, long time and didn't have knitting. I could pull this out of my back seat and be content, whether it's in a waiting room or stoplight or backed up in traffic or whatever. And then the last one I have on the needles that I am using for my knit night, and I have talked about this one last time as a work in progress. This is the Shadow Shawl. And that's a free pattern, and I am working away on it. The yarns are Another Crafty Girl and Diamond Dust Sock. And I'm using this for when I'm knitting at knit night or on Saturdays at Panera. We knit in Peoria. And so I am knitting it. It's my public knitting. And that one's coming along. I'm going to love this when I'm done. And I'm going to knit this until I run out of yarn. These yarns have a little bit of sparkle, and you can see the little bit of sparkle going on. Isn't that super cool? So that is my triangular shawls that are in progress. So as you can tell, I'm a fan of the triangular shawl. I hope after seeing what I've done and what I'm doing that you also can become, if you're not, a fan of triangular shawl and give them a little look-see to do. So what is off the needles? Oh, non-shawl related, I'm happy to report. I have another cowl done for my 40 Cowls, 40 Projects, the Girls Holiday Bash. This is a simple Liberty Wool cowl in 3 skeins of Liberty Wool. That one's all set. And then my friend's been doing Annette last year, cranked me some sock tubes. And so I have the next one. I have finished one of those, and I'm finishing these just with some rib on the bottom. And these are going to be part, aren't those super cute? This is going to be part of the 40 cows, 40 socks. 40 cows, 40 months, no socks. For those who just want a skinny little scarf, because I have people like that. So aren't those super, super cool? And I just picked up and put the rib on it. Thanks, ladies. I appreciate this. This is helping me out. I still have quite a few to do, and my goal for the next foreseeable future is 2 cowls per week. And so I have one more to get done today, but which will be another one similar to this. So that's super cool. And then also finished Party Top by Julie the yarn is Julie Aslan Lezu DK. Finished it with some modifications. It is supposed to be cropped, but I made mine not as cropped. I would not say that it is super, super long that comes down hip, but more as mid-belly range. And I'm super, super pleased with it. Just has the eyelets in the sleeve. I did the helical knitting that I talked about before through the body with by Carol Feller, using her YouTube video. I did not put the twisted rib at the neck because I was anxious to get started on it, but I did use twisted rib at both the hem and the sleeve. And I've not blocked this yet, but I love the fit so far. So I think what I'm going to do is maybe just spritz it and not dunk it like I would normally. This was one that I was brought to my radar by Caddy Jacks, their podcast. If you have not watched those girls, you need to. They're so inspiring. And even though they're quite a bit younger than me, they're inspiring, and they're making me want to knit different sweaters that I would not have normally picked out. I just have to say. And I am having a lot of fun with that. So those are the finished objects that I wanted to show you. And next, I want to talk about Stitches Midwest. It was a week ago in Schaumburg, Illinois, and we had a fun time. We missed a lot of our friends of Knitwits were there, but we had a great time shopping. We went for the market Thursday night, and then Friday, and then we left Saturday. And so I want to show you some things that I got while I was there. And oh my gosh, guys, I'm so excited about my knitting. First up, from Lakeside Yarn, I have a couple things, and apologize ahead of time for the crinkling and all the other glare and stuff that's gonna be going on here. First one up was from Lakeside Yarn. It's Across the Waters is what it's called. And this we first became aware of when I watched I Rock Knits Corey's video, and she did the yarn shop hop up in Minnesota. And she showed this yarn shop as well as showed this sample that they had. And so here we are with Across the Waters. This is a super, super cute pattern by Lakeside Yarn. Is that not just the coolest? And I went with a kit that they had. North Light Fibers. There you go. Well, for crying out loud, Penny. There you go. No surprise, those are my colorways, right, guys? Super, super excited about that one. And then also from Lakeside, I could not resist this one. 4 Seasons Wrap and Cowls is the pattern, and I bought the kit for the wrap. Super excited about this one as well, because besides the triangular shawl, the wrap is a fave of mine. So this is going to be so much fun to knit as well. Try that a little bit better to see. There we go. And this is a 4-ply fingering weight superwash merino silk, 435 yards per. So again, I'm super excited to try these out. This is going to be a fun knit. That was from Lakeside Fibers. And then 2 years ago, when Debbie and I went to ZK, Debbie gifted me with some yarn from Suburban Stitcher. And this was the ZK 2018 colorway. And I had been dying to do the Suburban wrap. But I wanted something bright. After I was seeing some that people were doing, I wanted something bright to go with it. And so we went to Stunning String Studio, which is a fantastic booth, huge, and they're going to have a shop in Sycamore, Illinois, and I believe they're opening like next week and then a grand opening later. And I don't know where Sycamore, Illinois is from my vicinity. I do. Somebody was saying it was towards DeKalb, which is maybe a couple hours away from me. So maybe in the fall would be a great road trip for to go out and check it out. But anyway, Debbie and I went there, and because I said I wanted brights, and so I picked up these 2 colorways from Stunning String. They're super wash, papaya bright, and glow stick. But of course. And so they're going to go with this to be the Suburban wrap. Is that not going to be super, super cool? And I'm excited about that one as well. So that's going to be Suburban wrap. And then I went to Lavender Loon, and I met her at ZK 2 years ago and fell in love with her yarn. Bought a yarn for one of our friends, Christmas, that she loved. And Lavender Loon had this Harper's Ferry in her booth, and then had kits made up. So sorry. Out of it. And so this winter, this is going to be my Harper's Ferry. Is that not gorgeous? It's going to be so much fun to do, and I'm super excited. And her, my friend Annetta keyed me into her mohair that Lavender Loon has. This is Surrey alpaca and silk lace weight, so not your typical mohairs. And this one is called Platinum. This is her Cool Weather mini set, and it's a merino nylon. And then this is Deep Frost, which is a superwash merino nylon fingering. So those are going to be so much fun, but they are not going to be done. I can tell you right now, this is a winter project. That is Harper's Ferry. And then, not the last of all places, but we went to a Homespun House. And because I watch her podcast, I follow Molly on Instagram. I was very, very interested in her yarns and to see it. And we went on Thursday night, and Debbie looked at a red, and I looked at something else. And so then we said we'd be back. We went back on Friday, and she was so surprised that we were back. She was like, I didn't think you were coming back. I'm like, we were coming back. So I got 2 cool things that I bought. First of all, I bought a basket that she sells, and these are handmade by women in Ghana. And here's my little basket. And this thing that was so cool about this is 2 things. All my purchases fit in to go out to the car. And what you can do is, which I did not know, and I have one that I bought years and years and years ago, did not know this, but you can wet it down and shape it. So what I'm going to do till later today if it gets nice. I'm going to wet mine down, and I'm going to just, I don't want to stretch it out too much, but I just want to put like something in it so that it will stretch out to about like this, and then also put a brick in the bottom so that the bottom will be flat, because I want it to sit just like that, and I think it's going to be a great knitting basket. So I bought this from a Homespun House, highly recommend it, and again, handmade by the women in Ghana. So while we were there, I have been wanting for some time to knit Petite Knits No Frill Sweater. And with the help of Molly, she helped me pick out a mohair to go with it. I'm into mohair right now. Cashmere, merino fingering, and kid mohair silk. This is called Fresh Sheets. And this one is Sugared Sweeties. I think it's going to be super cool in that no frills. So I'm so looking forward to it. And lastly, Stitches Midwest on Friday afternoon, the other girls I was with said, "Hey, Penny, your name's up on the list. You won a prize." And I went back, and I had won a skein of yarn from Miss Babs, and saw Sandy at the registration desk. Hi, Sandy. It was so nice to meet you and see you in person, and your kind words. I appreciate those. And went to Miss Babs, and Debbie helped me pick out something that would be out of the norm for me, and I picked out her yarn, her fingering yarn. It's superwash merino wool nylon tencel, 500 yards, fingering yarn in tart. And again, a little bit out of my color pattern, but super, super cool, and so excited to be knitting on that. I'm not sure what it's going to be, but it has possibilities. I can't wait to see how it knits up as well. So it was a great, great weekend at Stitches Midwest. It always is. It's fun. It's a few days to get away from work, and to spend it with friends, with knitting and shopping and laughs and seeing people. And this year in Schaumburg, the hotel had new furniture, and so that was interesting because they'd had the same forever. Starbucks close by. We had the greatest time, and it's one that even down in the future I will continue to go to, because it is so much fun, and I built so many great friendships. We had a great, great time. So I highly recommend Stitches Midwest. And then the last thing I just want to talk about is a sweater that I have in progress. Again, thanks to Caddy Jacks and others. I'm knitting Ranunculus. I'm updating what I'm knitting, and I'm having fun with it. I have to admit, I'm still at the yoke, and there are some things that, that I had to actually look at one of the videos a couple of times to figure out how to do that stitch. The direction did not compute with the brain and into the knitting. So then when I went like a day later and looked at the actual video that went with that particular stitch, I'm like, oh, that's what she wanted me to do. So if you're going to knit Ranunculus, I encourage you to look at the videos that she talks about for the yoke stitches. I did my swatch last week, and I'm hoping to be past this today. It's getting a lot of work on it, but I'm just loving it. And what I am using for the yarn is a strand of Madeline Tosh fingering in Button Jar Blue that I've had just forever. It's Mad Tosh Light. And it's a single. And I don't really care for singles because they tend to in stockinette pill a lot. But when you pair it with something else or do stitches, they're better. I also like about this because I'm also pairing it with Nice and Knits mohair. That with the combo of the two, I am not doing helical knitting or switching skeins every other row. I am just knitting it as is. So this is Ranunculus, and I'll talk more about sweaters and things like that after we finish Summer of Shawls. And when I get further into this, I'll show you the two yarns. Well, I can show you the Button Jar Blue and Nice and Knits mohair. Again, a yarn that I found through podcast, a company, and I really just wanted to try their yarn out. And had quick service. And this one's called Seaside, isn't it? It's a great name, great name. So I'm working on Ranunculus quite a bit. This afternoon I'll sit down and watch some baseball, and I've told myself during baseball games I have to work on the 40 cowls, so I'll be working on those while I watch the Cardinals hopefully win. Go Cardinals. And that's what I'll be knitting on coming up. So I don't have anything else for you. I cannot believe here in Central Illinois, kids are starting back to school later this week. Football practice has already started. I know that games will be starting pretty soon, which is a sure sign that fall is coming. Fall is my favorite time of year. Yes, I have to admit that. But man, I don't look forward to the things that come after that. But hopefully we'll just take one day at a time, and we'll make do as it comes, and we'll just have fun knitting until we get there. And the nice thing about fall and winter coming is that you can wear sweaters. And this fall and into the winter, we will be talking about a lot of sweaters and sweater techniques. And so much like Summer of Shawls, I have some things to talk to you about then. So that's it for this almost mid-August. I hope you're having a great weekend wherever you are, and you're knitting and having fun with it, enjoying friends and family that knit as well. Until next time, thanks for tuning in, and I'd appreciate very much if you would hit the subscribe button below. Join our Ravelry group, PJ Knits, where we'll talk about some more Summer of Shawls and other things. And if you're interested in the daily life, www.pjknits.blogspot.com. I am Penny J on Ravelry, and I am PJ Knits on Instagram, which I do. I'm heavy in Instagram watching people. I get a lot of great ideas from that. So have a great couple of weeks, and until next time, knit on with confidence and hope. Keep cool, have warm, and knit. See you later. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.